Hey guys, welcome to Tyson's Fitness Tips Podcast. If you want to lose weight, increase your energy, improve your health and fitness, and look your best, then you have come to the right place. My name is Tyson Brown. I'm a personal trainer, and my job is to help you transform your body by sharing with you the most up-to-date information on health and fitness. I'm going to distill it all down for you into bite-sized actionable steps that you can take immediately to see results quickly. Now, every Tuesday and Thursday, you can expect a brand new episode, which will be a mixture of interviews with top experts from around the world in the fitness space, and as well as solo episodes from myself, sharing with you exactly what action steps you need to take to transform your health, your body, and your life.
And that means you are going to get information from all different areas in regards to mindset, nutrition, fitness, things you wouldn't even think that are associated with your health and fitness, but are going to blow your mind. So let's get into the episode. Hey, before we get into the episode, I just want to let you know my brand new book, Ditch the Diet, has just come out and I'm giving away a couple of free copies. So if you want to go into the draw to win a free copy, all you have to do is share this podcast on your Instagram. All you have to do is click the share button, go to Instagram, put it in your stories, and then tag at Tyson the Trainer, and you'll go in the running. All winners will get the free copy of my book sent straight to your door, and I'm telling you, this book will be a game changer. So that's, once again, all you have to do is make sure that you take a screenshot, you share this, and you tag me on Instagram, and you will go into the running. All right, let's get into the episode. Good morning. It is 5 a.m. I'm on the way to work. So this is going to be my daily answering questions early in the morning. I know you can't really see me, but for those of you listening to the podcast, it doesn't really matter. For those of you who are watching on Instagram, I'm going to get some light soon, so don't be upset. You will be able to see me. See, there's some light, and I'll keep walking. So basically, today I want to talk about setting boundaries and rules for yourself. Because when you have that structure in your place, when you have certain rules that you were going to follow, it makes being fit, losing fat, so much easier. So I want to share with you a little bit of a personal story about where I've come from. First of all, over the last week I was in San Diego, and basically I went in there with a false sense of what was going to happen, because I went there for a fitness conference and to develop myself better as a person. But what happened when I got there is that, well, I ate like shit the whole time. I missed training sessions. Like, my life kind of just went to shambles for the 7 days, and it was unfortunate, but at the same time it also helped me learn like just what real life is, because I know a lot of you listening just have real life and you go on travel and things like that, and I saw it through this one-sided of like a trainer side of things, but it didn't play out. I'm like, oh wow, this is real life, this is what actually happened. So I ate a lot of food. It wasn't the best food, obviously. Like, I talk about the 80-20 approach. It was literally the opposite. It was like 80% shitty food, 20% good food. So I just wasn't in the right place, obviously. Like, just making bad decisions, and I'm like, man, I got to get back on top of this. So anyways, I came back to Sydney. I talked to you yesterday about meal prepping, and then I set myself some rules for the next couple of days. So basically what I've said is I am going to stick to my 80-20 principle every single day. I am only going to eat this amount of calories. I'm setting myself certain rules that I'm going to follow that provide me structure. So I'm not going to take snacks from anyone who offers me snacks. I'm not going to go out to dinner with anyone this weekend, because I need to make sure I'm reining it all back in. I'm pulling the rope back in, you know? I'm feeling back in control, because the worst thing is when you feel like you're out of control, because when you don't have control, that's when you get anxious. That's when you start to stress eat. That's when all the bad shit comes in. So you want to think about how can you set rules for yourself, boundaries, let's say, that help give you more structure. So now that I have these boundaries, I feel like I'm in a much calmer place. I'm like, okay, I'm only gonna eat between 10 p.m. and 4 p.m. That's my intermittent fasting rule. I'm only gonna eat 80-20. So 80% is gonna be whole nutritious food, 20% is going to be fun food, like I talk about. I'm only going to eat 1,000 calories a day for the next 2 days because of the amount of extra food I ate. I wanna negate that, because remember, when it comes to being in a calorie deficit, it's not one day, it's what happens in the week. And so because I've eaten so much during the last 4 days, I've still got 3 more days of the week, and so for those 3 days, I'm going to eat significantly less, and I've set myself that rule. And also what I did is I've set myself a negative outcome. So for every calorie I go over, I have to charge myself $1. So if I go over 100 calories, that's $100. And so it's a good incentive, it's a good rule, because it's getting me back on track. And you can do this for your own life too. When you set yourself rules and boundaries and you put certain restrictions on yourself, it's so much easier to stick to. So I feel like, okay, I'm only gonna fast from 5 p.m. onwards, or 6 p.m. onwards, or I don't eat after a certain time. I don't go out during the week to eat food. Like, I only eat at home. Whatever it is, like when you say, like, I exercise 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. Whatever those rules are, when you set rules for yourself and you've got that structure, it gives you power, and rules create freedom. Because when you have those rules in place, then you know, black and white, I do this or I don't do this. And when you have that, it becomes so much easier just to follow an overall healthy lifestyle, because then you don't have to make those cognitive decisions. You don't have to use willpower to go, should I have the cookie? Should I not have the cookie? Like, if you've eaten 80% healthy, you've got a couple of 100 calories left over to eat, and there's a cookie, you can have the cookie. But if you don't have any calories left, you don't have the cookie. And like, that's just it. It's just black and white. It's like, nah, can't have it. I've got that rule for myself. I said I'm not gonna eat anymore. And that's that. So when you have that in a place, when you have those certain rules, things you do, things you don't do, it just feels, honestly, it feels like I've had anxiety, I've had stress lift away from me, because now I've got those rules into place. And this is really, really good for those times where you feel like you've lost motivation, or you feel like your life's just in shambles at the moment, and like, you're just like, man, how am I gonna get back on track? Sit down, take 10, 15, 20, whatever it's gonna be, and just write out some rules. We'll give you some examples. How many calories are you gonna eat every single day? How much wiggle room are you gonna give yourself when it comes to treat foods? Are you gonna follow the 80-20 approach? Are you gonna do the 90-10 approach? Are you someone who just has to say, you know what, for the rest of this week, I'm not gonna eat any junk food because I've just been so bad the last couple of weeks? And like, you might have to do that for a week and then go back to the 80-20 approach. I don't always talk about cutting out all the food you love, because you still need to enjoy the foods. But if you're like, you know what, I just need to kind of clear it out for a week, you can do that. And so just set those things into parameters, just set those things into place, write down what you will do, what those rules are, and also what you won't do. So like, I will not eat until 10 a.m. in the morning, or whatever it's gonna be. So when you do that and you set those rules into place, you are gonna have control. You are gonna feel so much better about yourself. And then like, there's no guessing. There's no relying on willpower. There's no like, I don't know. It's just like, no, black and white. Okay, I said I don't do this, or I do this. Like, especially for me, for food shopping, I've noticed that I snack when I go to the food shops. Like, I might grab a grape here and there, or whatever it's gonna be. Or if I buy a bag of nuts, I'll actually be walking around and I'll mindlessly eat the nuts. So what I do is I go food shopping when I'm fasting, because I know that I don't break my fast at this time. So that's been an incentive that I'm like, you know what, I don't do food shopping unless it's during my fasting period, because when I do it in my fasting period, I don't have that inclination to snack, because I can't, because I'm fasting, right? And so it's just like things you learn over time. Whenever you make a mistake, you change it. Like, whenever you make a mistake, or whenever you find something works, you make that a rule, because when you can make that a rule and you can stick to it, that then eliminates decision fatigue, it then eliminates willpower, and it is so much easier to stick to. Like, honestly, this one thing has been very, very helpful, not just for being able to lose fat and keep it off, but also just like relieving stress, because it can be a stressful event. Like you could say, you know what, I don't go out during the week to eat with friends because I know I mess up. And when you make that mistake, sorry about the truck, when you make that mistake 1 or 2 times, and then you set that rule and you're like, you know what, I just can't handle going out with friends because it ends up being drinks and it ends up being all this other stuff. I'm just gonna cut it out. I'm just gonna say to my friends, hey, I don't eat. Doesn't mean you can't go out with them. You might still go out and you might drink soda water or a Coke Zero or something, but basically you just don't eat. So learn from your mistakes, learn from your wins, sit down, create those rules for yourself, certain things you will do, certain things you won't do, and then always have it updated. Like there's always going to be an update. There's like, sometimes there's going to be certain periods of your life where you need to change some rules. Like I said, for me, I've got to change the rules this week, but then I'll have to change them next week. But it still gives you a guide to go off. It still gives you something there, a structure, to know where you're going to go, to have the mindset shift of just being like, okay, cool, now I know what I've got to do. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to rely on willpower. I've got those rules set in front of me. And if a rule doesn't work for you, you change it. If you find it works really well, you keep it and you keep following it, okay? So what I'm interested to hear is, what rules do you have? Like, do you have any certain rules that you want to follow, or any you can think of? If you do, I'd love to hear from you. So make sure to reply and let me know, because if we can share some rules, it's going to be easier to help each other out. So let me know, reply. And by the way, if you have any other questions, make sure to ask, because remember, it's a daily podcast now. I'm getting into this stuff. I'm building that habit. And remember, when you build a habit, you start in the morning when you have the most willpower. All right, I will speak to you next time.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to the episode. I really appreciate it. Now, before you go, can you please do me one favor and go to the iTunes review and leave me a 5-star rating? That way it's going to help me reach more people with their health and fitness. And if you do that, whoever leaves a 5-star rating, I'll give you a free copy of my digital book. So all you have to do is just go get a 5-star, screenshot it, send it to me via Instagram at Tyson the Trainer, and you'll get a free copy of my digital book. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you next time.